99% of men will never do this. Yet it is precisely the one thing that naturally draws women in. It might sound like an exaggeration at first, but think about it. How many men have you seen who are good-looking, confident, and highly successful, yet still struggle to build a real, meaningful connection? The truth is, attraction isn't about wealth, looks, or social status. What most men completely miss are the quiet, subtle habits that operate beneath the surface of conscious awareness, signals that speak directly to a woman's emotional core without her even realizing why. And the most frustrating part? These habits are not complicated. They don't require expensive gifts or years of practice. They simply require awareness, intention, and the willingness to step outside the shallow patterns most men fall into. Today, we are going to reveal 5 things women secretly long for, but rarely express. These aren't your typical cliché flirting tricks. These are psychological triggers rooted in human nature and timeless Stoic wisdom, principles that will completely transform how you are experienced. If you haven't mastered these yet, you are missing out on the only type of attraction that truly matters, not the fleeting interest that vanishes the moment you leave, but the deep, lingering impression that keeps you in her thoughts weeks and months later. Before we begin, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so an Zeit could change everything for you. Let's begin. 1. The power of touch before intimacy. Picture yourself, clears throat and music on a date. The conversation is flowing smoothly, you're both laughing, and everything seems perfect. Yet, something is missing. There's a quiet friction, a feeling that the connection hasn't fully crossed the line. You walk her home, send a text later, and then nothing. No response. This is where most men make their first critical mistake. They believe attraction is built solely through words, clever jokes, fascinating stories, or endless conversation. But human connection runs much deeper than that. Women do not just connect with what you say. They connect with how they feel in your presence, your energy, your stillness, and your physical awareness. One of the most overlooked ways to solidify that emotional bond is through touch. Not aggressive, demanding, or forceful touch, but touch that feels entirely natural, gentle, and deeply respectful. A soft touch on her arm to emphasize a point, a gentle hand on the lower back to guide her through a crowded room, or briefly holding her hand. These small, quiet gestures communicate more than 1,000 words ever could. Without saying a single thing, they whisper, "I see you. You are safe with me. I am fully present right here, right now." The biggest error men make is linking touch to an expectation. They touch because they want something in return, and women can sense that transactional intention instantly. Instead of creating comfort, it creates pressure. But when a man can offer a touch with zero expectations, he immediately stands apart. He becomes a source of safety. And safety is the very bedrock of genuine attraction. By taking the lead physically in a calm, grounded way, you signal that you are a protector, someone who is completely in tune with her comfort. It's a silent, instinctual language that human nature has responded to for centuries. As Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Stop arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Be that grounded presence." The men who understand that attraction is not a transaction, but music and clears throat, an experience shared in the quietest moments, are the ones who become truly unforgettable. 2. The art of flirting with respect and detachment. When it comes to showing interest, most men end up trapping themselves in one of 2 extreme behaviors. On one side, you have the overeager chaser. He flirts so intensely, so aggressively, that his energy immediately screams desperation. He is trying too hard to impress, trying too hard to force a reaction. On the other side, you have the hesitant protector, the man who holds himself back so much out of fear of rejection or crossing a line that he never signals any romantic interest at all. He becomes safe, predictable, and eventually entirely forgotten. The truth, however, exists in a rare and powerful middle ground. Women deeply enjoy the dance of flirting, but only when it feels entirely natural, respectful, and backed by a quiet, unshakable confidence. True flirting is not about memorizing clever pickup lines or executing calculated tactics. It is entirely about energy. It is about your ability to create a relaxed, warm, and slightly playful atmosphere, an environment that generates both absolute comfort and intense curiosity at the exact same time. It should feel like a dance, not a job interview. Let's look at a simple example to see how this works in reality. Suppose she mentions that she has a deep love for Italian food. The average man will simply agree, perhaps list his favorite restaurant, and quickly move on to another safe topic. He keeps the conversation logical and dry, but a man who understands the subtle art of flirting will look her in the eyes, smile faintly, and say, "Are you sure about that? Because you've clearly never tasted my secret version." It's a simple, effortless statement. Yet, in just a few words, it injects your personality into the room. It challenges her playfully, creates tension, and opens the door for a much deeper, more engaging interaction. But here lies the critical turning point where most men fail. They flirt in search of validation. They say something playful, and then they anxiously lean in, watching her face to see if she's impressed or if she approves. Ironically, that exact need for approval is what kills the attraction instantly. It signals that your confidence is fragile and dependent on her reaction. Real confidence appears only when you possess what the Stoics called detachment from the outcome. You enjoy the playfulness, you enjoy the interaction, but you are not emotionally attached to the result. You don't need her to laugh. You are simply sharing your authentic, playful energy. Your eyes are your most powerful tool in this process. Maintaining strong, steady eye contact communicates that you are comfortable with tension. Hold her gaze for a beat longer than usual while she speaks. Then casually, calmly look away before returning your attention back to her. That tiny fracture of visual connection creates a powerful wave of curiosity. It proves that you are calm, centered, and fully present, rather than nervous or rushed. This rare balance is what makes a man genuinely magnetic. It is the ability to show clear interest without a hint of neediness, to express desire without a shred of desperation, and to create intrigue without an ounce of manipulation. This is exactly where Stoic philosophy becomes incredibly valuable in modern dating. The ancient Stoics understood that true worth comes entirely from within. It comes from knowing exactly who you are, completely independent of anyone else's praise, criticism, or opinion. When you internalize this truth, flirting ceases to be a stressful performance. It becomes effortless. You are no longer trying to prove your value or win a prize. You are simply revealing your authentic self to another person, and that untamed authenticity is the most magnetic quality a man can possess. 3. The rare magnetism of active listening. This next principle might sound almost too simple at first glance, but make no mistake. In a modern world where everyone is chronically distracted, staring at screens, and constantly waiting for their turn to speak, genuine listening has become a remarkably rare and precious gift. Most men today treat conversations like a competition. They listen only to respond. While a woman is speaking, they are already formulating their next brilliant point in their head, searching for a way to steer the topic back to themselves, or looking for a moment to subtly brag about their achievements. They aren't truly present. They are just waiting for their cue. But when you can look a woman in the eye and truly listen to her without interrupting, without immediately rushing to fix her problems, and without turning the spotlight back onto yourself, you are giving her something that almost no one else does. You are giving her your absolute, undivided attention, and that level of presence is profoundly attractive. Think about how incredibly validating it feels when someone truly listens to you. When they ask thoughtful, piercing questions that prove they've been hanging onto every word. When they casually bring up a tiny detail you mentioned hours or even days earlier. When they make you feel like the thoughts inside your head actually matter. That feeling is intoxicating. It bypasses physical attraction entirely and creates an emotional bond that goes incredibly deep. To a woman, a man who listens actively isn't just polite. He is observant. He is grounded. He is secure enough in his own value that he doesn't feel the desperate need to constantly talk about himself to prove his worth. When you listen with genuine curiosity and empathy, a massive shift occurs. You stop being just another guy she went on a date with, and you become someone she can implicitly trust. You become the man who actually sees her, not just the mask she wears for the world, not just her physical appearance, but the complex thoughts, fears, and experiences that make up who she really is. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once noted a very simple biological fact that holds immense wisdom. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. This ancient truth is more relevant today than it has ever been. Women are perpetually bombarded by men who want to talk at them, men who want to impress them with shallow accomplishments, or men who want to convince them of how great they are. A man who simply leans back, holds eye contact, and listens, a man who cares enough to ask meaningful questions and has the mental discipline to remember the answers, is a man who completely separates himself from the crowd. He effortlessly becomes the sanctuary in her chaotic world. He becomes the one she wants to talk to late at night, the one she feels safe opening up to, and the only one she remembers when she thinks about who truly understands her. For emotional stability in uncertain moments. Life is rarely perfectly scripted. No matter how well a date is going, there will inevitably be moments when things simply do not go according to plan. She might be running late, a sudden disagreement might arise, or her mood might shift unexpectedly without any clear warning. Make no mistake, these moments are tests, not in a manipulative, calculated sense, but as fundamental tests of your character. They strip away the charming facade and reveal exactly who you are when the waters get rough. How do most men handle this? They fracture. They react instantly and instinctively. They become visibly anxious, overly defensive, or easily frustrated. They allow the external chaos of the situation to completely dictate their internal emotional state. But a man who possesses true emotional stability operates entirely differently. When hit with uncertainty, he does something incredibly powerful. He pauses. He refuses to let the external situation hijack his emotions. Instead of reacting from blind, nervous impulse, he takes a breath and responds with calm, measured clarity. He doesn't raise his voice to assert dominance. He doesn't resort to petty, passive-aggressive remarks. And most importantly, he never makes a woman feel like she has to walk on eggshells around him. This deep, unshakable calm radiates an overwhelming sense of safety and stability, a feeling that women deeply crave, even if they never say it out loud. In a modern world that feels increasingly chaotic, loud, and unpredictable, a man who remains entirely steady when the ground shakes is an incredibly rare find. He becomes the anchor. She realizes, on a primal level, that this is someone she can implicitly trust to handle the inevitable storms of life with grace and unbreakable strength. As the great Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote, true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. This is the absolute core of emotional stability. It is the ability to stand firmly in the present moment, completely unbothered by the shifting winds of uncertainty. This quality is fiercely attractive because it signals that you have a rock-solid internal foundation. It tells her that you are not easily shaken, and that when life inevitably gets difficult, you are the man who will stand his ground. 5. The counterintuitive strength of knowing when to step back. We have arrived at the fifth, and perhaps the most counterintuitive secret of all. It goes against everything modern culture, romantic comedies, and conventional dating advice will tell you. Yet, it is undeniably the most powerful principle a man can possess, knowing exactly when to step back. A man who truly knows his own worth does not chase endlessly. He does not beg for a text back. He does not eagerly rearrange his entire life or compromise his core principles just to keep someone's attention. He deeply understands a fundamental truth. His time, his energy, and his focus are highly valuable resources, and he absolutely refuses to give them away freely to anyone who does not match his level of respect and effort. When you have the discipline to step back, not out of petty anger, not to play manipulative games, and not out of spite, but purely out of profound self-respect, you communicate something incredibly rare to a woman. You communicate that you are not dependent on her or anyone else to validate your existence. You show her that you have a rich, fulfilling life of your own. You have your own purpose, your own demanding goals, and a deep sense of happiness that exists independently of your relationship status. And that level of absolute independence is dangerously attractive. It is a core law of human psychology. Desperation repels, but quiet self-respect draws in. The moment you show a woman that you are perfectly fine with or without her in your life, all the heavy pressure instantly evaporates. And in that newly created empty space, intense curiosity begins to grow. She starts to wonder, why isn't he chasing me like all the other guys? What makes him so secure? Does he have options? What is he so focused on that he isn't sitting by his phone waiting for my reply? That specific curiosity, that mystery, is the precise birthplace of genuine burning attraction. The Stoic Emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the ultimate secret of the truly unforgettable man. He has realized his internal strength. He does not need a woman's validation to feel like a complete man. Instead, he chooses to invite a woman into his life because he genuinely wants to share it with her, not because he desperately needs her to fill a void. That is the exact difference between a boy who chases and a man who attracts. The man who is completely comfortable stepping back leaves a permanent, undeniable mark. He is the man she compares everyone else to long after he is gone, because he is the man who never needed to chase, because he understood deeply and quietly that he was the prize all along. We have walked through the 5 secrets, the subtle psychological triggers that separate the truly unforgettable men from the rest of the crowd. But I want you to listen to me very carefully right now. Simply knowing these principles is not enough. You cannot just memorize them like a script and expect your life to change. True attraction, the kind that lingers, the kind that alters how you are respected and perceived, is not something you do. It is something you become. When you master the art of physical touch without expectation, when you flirt with playful, respectful detachment, when you offer the rare gift of total, undivided listening, when you remain the unshakable anchor in the middle of emotional storms, and when you cultivate the profound self-respect to back when necessary, you completely transcend the ordinary. You stop being a man who is desperately searching for validation, and you transform into a man who radiates value. You stop living in reaction to the world, and you start moving through it with purpose. Integrating these habits into your life will require discipline. It will require you to let go of your ego, to abandon your neediness, and to embrace the quiet strength of your own authenticity. But once you do, once these Stoic principles become the very foundation of who you are, you will never be the same. And the way women experience your presence will change forever. You will no longer be an option. You will be the standard. If you made it this far into the video, it means you are part of the rare minority of men who are actually committed to growth. Do not just let this be another video you watch and forget. Take action. Go down to the comment section right now and tell me, which of these 5 habits do you need to work on the most? Is it active listening, emotional stability, or knowing when to step back? Put it in writing. Make it a commitment to yourself. Before you go, if this video brought you value, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you can continue building the mindset of a truly high-value man. Until next time, stay grounded, focus on your own path, and remember, the greatest power you will ever possess is the mastery of yourself.